The signal from the abyss. Commander Lyra sat in her command chair aboard the Zelthian cruiser Aetheris, her 4 eyes scanning the holographic display that flickered before her. The bridge was filled with a palpable tension as her crew analyzed an anomalous signal that had breached their sensors. It pulsed rhythmically, a beacon of curiosity in a sea of silence. "Run it again," she ordered, her voice steady despite the unease creeping into her mind. Lieutenant Jax exchanged nervous glances with Science Officer Mira as they complied with her command. The signal repeated, a strong, unmistakable pattern that defied all predictions made by their scientific team. "It's coming from a planet classified as a Category 12 death world," Jax reported, his voice tinged with disbelief. "The atmospheric pressure is lethal to most known species, and the radiation levels are off the charts." Mira leaned closer to her console, her bioluminescent markings flickering with anxiety. "Commander, this signal, it's not random emissions. It appears to be broadcasting something akin to entertainment, music and stories." Lyra's heart raced as she processed this information. Entertainment? From a death world? She gestured toward the display where data scrolled past at an alarming rate. "Show me everything." The holographic image shifted to reveal a blue-green marble suspended in the void of space, a planet that should have been devoid of life but was teeming with activity according to their scans. Gravity readings were at 1 g, temperatures fluctuated wildly between extremes, yet here was evidence of civilization. "Commander," Jax interjected hesitantly, "we're picking up artificial satellites and structures, cities even. They have global communication networks and signs of primitive space travel." Lyra froze mid-thought as silence enveloped the bridge crew. In her cycles of service, she had never encountered anything like this, a civilization thriving on a world that should have crushed them beneath its weight. "Impossible," she muttered under her breath but knew deep down that the evidence was irrefutable. "Incoming transmission." Mira called out suddenly, breaking Lyra's reverie. The holographic display flickered again, revealing a bipedal figure with smooth skin and 2 eyes, humans, as they would later learn they were called, smiling back at them. "Greetings. I am Captain Elon of the United Earth Defense Force," the human said cheerily. "We've been tracking your vessel since you entered our solar system." Lyra's mind raced as she tried to comprehend what she was seeing. This fragile-looking creature was extending an invitation to their ship? She felt a mixture of disbelief and intrigue wash over her. "We weren't expecting to find intelligent life here," Lyra replied carefully, maintaining her composure despite her racing heart. Elon chuckled lightly. "We get that a lot. Would you like to visit Earth? The weather is lovely this time of year, only about 35 degrees Celsius and 80% humidity." Lyra's secondary heart nearly stopped at the thought of stepping onto such a hostile environment. Regrettably, she managed to say diplomatically, "Our environmental requirements make such a visit impossible." "Oh, no worries." Elon waved dismissively. "We can come aboard your ship. Just one question, what's your standard atmospheric pressure? We need to know what suits to bring." 2.3 atmospheres, Lyra replied automatically before adding with concern, "Your species can survive pressure changes of that magnitude?" Elon's smile widened further. "That's nothing. We have deep-sea researchers who work at pressures 50 times that." As the transmission ended and Lyra sank back into her command chair, disbelief washed over her like cold water. 50 times standard pressure? She glanced around at her stunned crew, their expressions mirrored her own shock. "Send word to the High Council," Lyra ordered quietly. "We need to reevaluate our definition of Death World." As her crew rushed to comply, Lyra continued staring at Earth's serene image rotating in space, a planet where humans thrived against all odds while they had always prided themselves on being among the galaxy's toughest species. In the Grand Chamber of the High Council, High Counselor Vexer stood at the center platform surrounded by representatives from various factions within their empire, a gathering sparked by Commander Lyra's report. The data is conclusive, Vexor announced gravely as holographic images of Earth appeared above them. We are not alone in our evolutionary advantages. Supreme Commander Kor shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his massive frame towering over others present. Impossible. Look at them. No armor or claws, soft-skinned creatures who got lucky with technology. Lyra stepped forward despite Kor's skepticism. She felt compelled to defend what they had discovered. They live in conditions that would kill any of us in minutes. Their world experiences temperature swings that would shatter your bones. Vexor gestured for silence as murmurs erupted among council members debating this new reality. They are apex predators, Lyra continued passionately, recalling their analysis from earlier scans. Despite their appearance, they hunt even when food is abundant. They chase prey until exhaustion sets in. Kor scoffed but remained silent as Vexor turned back to Lyra for more information. They possess remarkable endurance, she explained further while pulling up new data streams for emphasis. Their adaptation range is astonishing, they thrive in environments from Arctic tundra to scorching deserts. The chamber fell silent again as council members absorbed this new information. The implications were staggering. What happens when they expand beyond their world? General Nash asked gravely, his crystalline form vibrating with concern. They already are. Lyra interjected quickly. They have settlements in orbit and preliminary colonies on Mars, a planet almost as hostile as their home world. As discussions continued about how best to approach these humans without provoking hostility or misunderstanding, Lyra felt a sense of urgency settle over her like a heavy cloak. We must send an investigation team, General Nash declared finally after much debate among council members about how best to proceed. We will send a joint delegation, Vexor announced decisively after considering various opinions voiced during discussions. As plans began forming around them for an unprecedented alliance between Deathworlders and humans, Lyra couldn't shake off an unsettling feeling that this encounter would change everything for both species forever. With preparations underway for first contact with humanity looming ahead, Lyra felt both excitement and trepidation about what lay ahead on this journey into uncharted territory where survival instincts would be tested in ways they could never have anticipated. First contact. Captain Elon stood on the bridge of the Endeavour, his expression a mix of excitement and apprehension as he prepared for the first official contact with the Zelthians. The crew had been buzzing with energy ever since they received Commander Raxon's invitation to visit their ship. The prospect of meeting beings from a death world, a planet that should have been inhospitable to life, was both thrilling and intimidating. Prepare for departure, Elon commanded, glancing at his crew, each member eager to witness this unprecedented event. His first officer, Lieutenant Tessa, was already running through the final checks on their environmental suits, ensuring they were equipped to handle any unexpected circumstances. Captain, Tessa said, her brow furrowed in concentration, the readings from their ship indicate they maintain an atmosphere of 2.3 G. We need to ensure our suits can handle that pressure. Elon nodded, appreciating Tessa's diligence. We'll be fine. The suits are designed for deep-sea exploration, they can handle much worse than that. He took a deep breath, trying to quell the butterflies in his stomach. Let's make history. As the Endeavour approached the Zelthian cruiser Aetheris, Elon marveled at its design, sleek and angular, with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed rhythmically along its hull. It was a stark contrast to the rounded, more organic shapes of human vessels. Docking sequence initiated, Tessa announced as the ship aligned with the docking bay. We're ready to board. The air was thick with anticipation as the crew gathered in the airlock, adjusting their helmets and checking their oxygen levels. Elon felt a surge of pride for his team. They were about to embark on an adventure that could redefine humanity's place in the galaxy. The airlock hissed open, revealing a dimly lit chamber filled with Zelthian personnel. Commander Raxon stood at the forefront, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly as he assessed the humans entering his domain. The Zelthian scales shimmered in the low light, giving them an otherworldly appearance. "Welcome aboard the Aetherus," Raxon said, his voice resonating through the chamber. "I am Commander Raxon of the Carrion Empire's 7th Exploratory Fleet." Elon stepped forward confidently, extending his hand in greeting, a gesture he hoped would be understood across species. "Captain Elon of the United Earth Defense Force. It's an honor to meet you." Raxon regarded Elon's hand for a moment before extending one of his clawed appendages in return. The two exchanged grips cautiously. Raxon's claws were surprisingly gentle despite their formidable appearance. "Please follow me," Raxon gestured with a sweeping motion of his arm as he led them deeper into the ship. As they walked through the corridors of Aetherus, Elon couldn't help but admire the intricate designs that adorned the walls, patterns that seemed alive, shifting colors and shapes as they moved past. It was a stark reminder of how different their two civilizations were. "Your ship is impressive," Elon remarked, trying to bridge any gaps between them. "The bioluminescence is quite beautiful." Raxon nodded appreciatively. "It serves multiple purposes: navigation, communication, and even emotional expression among our kind." Elon raised an eyebrow at this revelation. "Emotional expression? How does that work?" Raxon paused before responding thoughtfully. "Our scales change color based on our emotional state, much like your facial expressions convey feelings." He glanced back at Elon, his four eyes glinting with curiosity. "Do you not have similar mechanisms?" Elon chuckled lightly, realizing how human-centric their understanding had been thus far. "We do express emotions through our faces and body language, but I suppose we don't have anything quite like your bioluminescence." They entered a spacious conference room where a large holographic display dominated one wall, showcasing various data streams and images of Earth alongside information about Zelthian biology and technology. "Let us begin our discussions," Raxon said as he gestured for everyone to take a seat around a circular table. Tessa exchanged glances with Dr. Kor, their science officer who had accompanied them for this meeting. Kor was already engrossed in analyzing the data projected before them, his eyes darting between screens filled with information about Zelthian physiology. "We have much to learn from each other," Raxon began as he activated a series of holograms displaying their respective home worlds. "Your planet is fascinating, a thriving ecosystem despite its challenges." Elon nodded in agreement. "And yours is equally remarkable for surviving under such extreme conditions." He hesitated before asking, "How did your species adapt to such an environment?" Raxon leaned forward slightly, his eyes narrowing with interest. "Our evolution favored resilience and strength, traits necessary for survival in our harsh world." He paused before adding, "But we also learned cooperation and innovation were key factors in overcoming our challenges." Tessa interjected, eager to delve deeper into this discussion. "What kind of innovations have you developed? We're particularly interested in your medical technology." Raxon's expression shifted slightly. It was hard to tell if it was pride or caution that colored his response. "Our medical advancements stem from necessity. We've developed treatments for various ailments caused by our environment." He gestured toward Dr. Kor's holographic display showing human anatomy compared to Zelthian physiology. As discussions continued around medical practices and technological advancements tailored to each species' unique environments, Elon felt an unexpected kinship forming between them, a shared understanding that transcended their differences. Suddenly, Raxon's attention shifted as he received an incoming transmission on his console, a flicker of concern crossing his features as he listened intently. "Commander," one of his officers spoke urgently through the comm system, "we've detected unusual energy readings near your home world." Raxon straightened immediately, tension rippled through him as he glanced at Elon and Tessa before addressing his crew member again. "What kind of readings?" "It appears we're being monitored by an unidentified vessel," came the reply. Elon felt a chill run down his spine at this news. They had only just begun forging ties with these Deathworlders when trouble loomed on the horizon. "Can you identify it?" Raxon pressed urgently. No visual confirmation yet, the officer replied anxiously. But it's emitting signals consistent with hostile intent. The atmosphere shifted dramatically within the conference room. What had begun as an exciting opportunity for collaboration now felt overshadowed by potential danger. We need to act quickly, Tessa suggested decisively. If someone is monitoring us during this delicate first contact situation. Raxon nodded gravely, his 4 eyes narrowed thoughtfully as he considered their options. We cannot allow this threat to jeopardize our discussions, he declared firmly. I propose we send a reconnaissance team to investigate while maintaining communication lines open between our 2 ships. Elon agreed wholeheartedly. They couldn't afford any misunderstandings or hostilities before solidifying this newfound alliance. I'll send my best crew members along with yours, Elon offered quickly, determination coursing through him as he realized how important it was for both species to stand united against any external threats. As plans began forming around them amidst rising tension, their shared mission now intertwined with survival, the 2 captains exchanged determined glances filled with unspoken resolve. Together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. Cultural exchange. The atmosphere aboard the Aetheris was electric with anticipation as the Zelthian delegation prepared for their first official cultural exchange with humanity. Commander Raxon, still reeling from the initial shock of meeting Captain Elon and his crew, knew that this encounter could redefine their understanding of life in the universe. He gathered his team in the conference room, where holographic displays flickered with images of Earth's diverse landscapes and cultures. Today, we will learn more about these humans, Raxon began, his voice steady despite the whirlwind of thoughts racing through his mind. We must approach this with an open mind. They have survived in conditions we deemed impossible. Lieutenant Zena, who had been particularly curious about human customs, leaned forward eagerly. What do we know about their culture? What are they like? Raxon activated a holographic display showcasing various aspects of human life, festivals, sports, and daily activities. They seem to engage in a wide range of recreational activities, he explained. They have something called sports, which involves competition and physical exertion. Zena raised an eyebrow. Isn't that dangerous? Our species evolved to avoid unnecessary risks. Indeed, Raxon replied thoughtfully. But it appears that humans embrace risk as part of their existence. They engage in activities that would be lethal for us, such as skydiving and extreme sports. The crew exchanged glances, a mixture of fascination and disbelief evident on their faces. General Nash spoke up, his crystalline form shimmering with curiosity. What motivates them to take such risks? Is it a form of entertainment or something deeper? Raxon paused before responding, recalling snippets from his earlier discussions with Captain Elon. It seems to be both. They find joy in pushing their limits and challenging themselves. It's part of their identity. As they prepared for their visit to Earth, Raxon couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into a world governed by rules they could hardly comprehend. Upon arrival at Earth's surface, the Zelthian delegation was greeted by a vibrant scene filled with colors and sounds that felt overwhelming after their time in the sterile environment of Aetheris. Humans bustled around them, engaged in various activities. Some were jogging along paths lined with trees, while others gathered in groups for picnics. Captain Elon approached them with an enthusiastic smile. Welcome to Earth. I hope you're ready for a day filled with fun and learning. Raxon nodded cautiously, still adjusting to the sensory overload. What do you have planned for us? Elon gestured toward a nearby park where several humans were participating in a game involving a large ball and nets. We're going to watch a match of soccer. It's one of our most popular sports. As they made their way to the field, Raxon couldn't help but feel a sense of trepidation mixed with curiosity. The humans seemed so carefree, engaging in physical activity without any apparent concern for danger. When they reached the field, Raxon observed as 2 teams competed fiercely for control of the ball. The humans sprinted across the grass, occasionally colliding with one another but quickly recovering without hesitation. Why do they collide like that? Xena asked incredulously. Elon chuckled at her confusion. It's part of the game. They're trained to handle contact, it's all about teamwork and strategy. Raxon watched intently as one player executed a perfect kick, sending the ball soaring into the air before it landed squarely in the opposing team's net. The crowd erupted into cheers and applause. Is this not dangerous? Raxon asked, bewildered by the enthusiasm surrounding what he perceived as reckless behavior. Not at all. Elon replied confidently. Injuries happen occasionally, but it's all part of the excitement. These athletes train rigorously to minimize risks. The match concluded with one team emerging victorious amid shouts of joy and celebration from their supporters. Raxon felt an odd sense of admiration for these humans. Despite their apparent fragility, they exhibited resilience that was remarkable. Afterward, Elon led them to a shaded area where refreshments were laid out, an array of foods that smelled delicious yet foreign to Raxon's senses. What is this? He asked cautiously as he approached a platter filled with grilled meats and colorful vegetables. That's barbecue. Elon exclaimed proudly. It's a traditional human dish cooked outdoors over an open flame. Raxon hesitated before taking a small piece on his plate. He had never tasted anything like it before. As he took his first bite, flavors exploded in his mouth, smoky, savory, and utterly delightful. This is exceptional, he admitted, surprised by how much he enjoyed it. Xena followed suit, sampling various dishes while her bioluminescent patterns shifted in delight. I could get used to this, she remarked enthusiastically. After indulging in food and conversation about their respective cultures, Elon suggested they participate in a friendly game of soccer themselves. Us? Play soccer? Raxon asked incredulously. Absolutely. It'll be fun. Elon insisted with infectious enthusiasm. With some reluctance but also growing curiosity about this human pastime, Raxon agreed. Soon enough, they found themselves on the field alongside enthusiastic humans who explained the rules while laughing at their initial clumsiness. As they played together, humans and Zelthians alike, the barriers between species began to dissolve amidst laughter and shared experiences. Raxon discovered an unexpected thrill in running across the field despite feeling outmatched by human agility. By the end of the game, everyone was breathless but exhilarated. Even Raxon couldn't help but smile at how liberating it felt to engage in such physical activity without regard for danger or survival. As they gathered afterward to catch their breath under the shade of trees swaying gently above them, Raxon reflected on how this day had shifted his understanding not only of humans but also of what it meant to live fully, embracing life rather than merely surviving it. Perhaps we have much to learn from each other, he said thoughtfully as he looked around at his crew mingling with humans who had initially seemed so foreign yet now felt oddly familiar. Elon nodded enthusiastically. Absolutely. This is just the beginning. Their cultural exchange continued throughout the day, a whirlwind tour through human traditions that left Raxon feeling invigorated yet contemplative about what lay ahead for both species as they ventured deeper into this newfound alliance. Unraveling the mystery. The days turned into a whirlwind of activity as the Zelthian delegation continued their cultural exchange with humanity. Commander Raxon, accompanied by his team, found themselves immersed in a world that challenged everything they thought they knew about survival, resilience, and the nature of life itself. Each day brought new revelations that left them both bewildered and fascinated. On the sixth day of their visit, Raxon gathered his team in their temporary quarters aboard the Endeavour. The room was filled with holographic displays showcasing various aspects of human culture, technology, and biology. Lieutenant Xena was poring over data collected from Earth's environmental studies while General Nash reviewed footage from their recent outings. Today, we need to focus on understanding their technological advancements, Raxon declared, his voice firm. We've seen how they adapt to extreme conditions, but we must also analyze their innovations and how they manage to thrive in environments that should be lethal. Xena nodded eagerly. I've been analyzing their energy sources. They rely heavily on something called fossil fuels, but they're also making strides in renewable energy technologies. It's fascinating how they balance both. Indeed, Nash added, his crystalline form shimmering with excitement. Their ingenuity is impressive, but it raises questions about sustainability. If they can survive on such a fragile planet, what happens when their resources dwindle? Raxon considered this for a moment before shifting the topic. Let's focus on their medical technology next. We've received requests for information about our advancements in treating injuries and illnesses. They seem particularly interested in how we manage to survive in our harsh environment. As they delved into discussions about medical practices and technologies, Raxon couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to humanity than met the eye. Their resilience was remarkable, but it was also tinged with an underlying fragility that intrigued him. Later that day, the delegation attended a seminar hosted by human scientists who specialized in extreme environments. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement as humans shared their research findings and experiences from various expeditions across Earth's most inhospitable terrains. Dr. Patel, a prominent human scientist, stood at the front of the room, gesturing animatedly as he spoke about his work studying life in extreme conditions, volcanic regions, deep-sea ecosystems, and polar ice caps. Life finds a way, Dr. Patel proclaimed passionately. No matter how harsh the environment may seem, organisms adapt and evolve to thrive under challenging circumstances. Raxon exchanged glances with Xena and Nash. It was a sentiment they had heard echoed throughout their time on Earth. But as he listened to Dr. Patel speak of species that had adapted to survive in boiling hot springs or beneath layers of ice, Raxon felt an unsettling realization settling in: humanity itself was an anomaly, a species thriving against all odds. After the seminar concluded, Raxon approached Dr. Patel to discuss further insights into human adaptability. "Your research is impressive," he began cautiously. "But I can't help but wonder, what drives your species to explore these extreme environments?" Dr. Patel smiled warmly, his enthusiasm infectious. "Curiosity. We have an innate desire to understand our world and push boundaries. It's part of what makes us human." Raxon pondered this response as he returned to his quarters later that evening. Curiosity, a trait so simple yet so profound, seemed to define humanity's existence on Earth. The next day brought another opportunity for exploration as the delegation visited a facility dedicated to studying human biology and physiology. As they entered the lab, Raxon was struck by the advanced technology surrounding them, machines whirring softly while researchers analyzed samples under bright lights. "Welcome," a cheerful human greeted them as they stepped inside. "I'm Dr. Hargrove, I'll be your guide today." As Dr. Hargrove led them through various sections of the lab, he explained how humans had developed remarkable techniques for understanding their own biology, from genetic mapping to advanced imaging technologies. "Here," Dr. Hargrove said excitedly, gesturing toward a large screen displaying intricate images of human cells, "we can observe cellular processes in real time. It allows us to study diseases at a molecular level." Raxon watched intently as images flickered across the screen, cells dividing, proteins interacting, a dance of life unfolding before him. "This is incredible," Xena remarked as she leaned closer to get a better look at the display. Dr. Hargrove continued explaining various experiments conducted within the lab while Raxon absorbed every detail. He couldn't help but admire humanity's relentless pursuit of knowledge. As they moved deeper into the facility, Raxon noticed a section dedicated to studying mental health, a topic often overlooked among Deathworlders who prioritized physical survival above all else. "This area focuses on understanding emotional well-being," Dr. Hargrove explained as they entered a room filled with comfortable seating and calming colors designed for therapy sessions. "Emotional well-being?" Raxon echoed incredulously. "Yes. We believe mental health is just as important as physical health, Dr. Hargrove replied earnestly. Our minds shape our experiences and influence how we navigate challenges. Raxon felt a wave of realization wash over him. This emphasis on emotional well-being was foreign yet intriguing, something that could potentially strengthen their own society back home. As their tour concluded, Raxon expressed gratitude for the insights gained during their visit. Your dedication to understanding both body and mind is commendable, he said sincerely. Dr. Hargrove beamed at him before adding playfully, and don't forget about our pets. We care for them just like family. Raxon raised an eyebrow at this statement. It had become increasingly clear that humans treated animals with affection and devotion, a stark contrast to many Deathworlders who viewed survival as paramount above all else. Returning to Endeavor, Raxon gathered his team once more for discussions about their findings thus far. We've learned much about human adaptability and resilience, he began thoughtfully. But what stands out most is their approach toward emotional health, something we must consider when evaluating our own society. General Nash nodded in agreement while Xena chimed in enthusiastically. Their emphasis on curiosity drives them forward. They constantly seek new knowledge and experiences. I propose we incorporate some of these principles into our own practices, Raxon suggested cautiously but firmly. Understanding emotions could enhance our decision-making processes and strengthen our bonds within our society. As discussions continued late into the night aboard Endeavor, Raxon felt a sense of unity forming among his crew, a shared understanding that transcended species boundaries. The next day would bring further exploration into humanity's world, a journey filled with surprises yet untold, and Commander Raxon couldn't shake off the feeling that unraveling these mysteries would lead them down paths previously unimaginable. A new alliance. As the Zelthian delegation continued their exploration of Earth, Commander Raxon found himself grappling with the implications of what they had learned. The humans were not just resilient, they were a species that embraced risk and danger in ways that defied all logic. Their willingness to engage in activities that could lead to injury or even death was both bewildering and fascinating. The day after the hockey game, Raxon convened a meeting with his team aboard the Endeavor. The atmosphere was charged with excitement, but also a sense of urgency as they prepared for the next phase of their mission, formal diplomatic negotiations with the humans. Today, we will meet with Captain Elon and his team to discuss potential collaborations, Raxon announced, his 4 eyes scanning the room filled with eager faces. We need to approach this alliance with caution and respect. They are unlike any species we've encountered before. Lieutenant Xena raised a clawed hand, her bioluminescent patterns flickering with curiosity. What do you propose we focus on during these negotiations? Their technology? Their culture? Both, Raxon replied firmly. We must understand their technological advancements, particularly in medicine and environmental adaptation. But we also need to grasp their cultural values, what drives them, what motivates their actions. General Nash nodded in agreement. Their emotional connection to their pets has already shown us a different perspective on survival. They prioritize companionship and care for other species, which is something we should consider in our own society. As they prepared for the meeting, Raxon felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. This was uncharted territory for them, an alliance that could reshape the dynamics of power in the galaxy. When they arrived at the designated meeting location, a large conference room set up in a human facility, Raxon was struck by how different it felt compared to the sterile environments of Zelthian ships. The room was filled with natural light streaming through large windows, adorned with plants and decorations that reflected human culture. Captain Elon greeted them warmly as they entered, his smile genuine and welcoming. Welcome. I'm glad you could make it. We've prepared an agenda that covers everything from technological exchanges to cultural collaborations. Raxon returned Elon's smile cautiously, still processing how this fragile-looking being could command such resilience. Thank you for hosting us. We're eager to learn more about your advancements. As they settled into their seats, Elon began outlining their proposed topics for discussion. First, let's talk about medical technology. We've been particularly interested in your methods for treating injuries sustained in extreme environments. Raxon leaned forward attentively as Elon presented data on human medical practices, how they utilized advanced imaging technologies and surgical techniques to treat injuries that would be fatal for many other species. Your approach is fascinating, Raxon remarked after reviewing the information. We have developed methods tailored to our own harsh conditions, but your techniques could enhance our understanding of biology across species. Elon nodded enthusiastically. We believe that sharing knowledge can lead to breakthroughs that benefit both our species. For instance, we've been researching ways to improve recovery times after injuries, something that could be useful for both humans and Zelthians alike. As discussions progressed, Raxon found himself increasingly impressed by humanity's willingness to collaborate and share knowledge openly. They were not just seeking advancements for themselves, they genuinely wanted to foster mutual growth. After several hours of productive dialogue, the conversation shifted toward cultural exchanges, something Raxon had been eager to explore further. I think it's important for both our species to understand each other's values, Elon said thoughtfully. For us, community and connection are vital aspects of life. We often gather for meals, celebrations, and events that strengthen our bonds. Bonding over food, Zena mused aloud, her eyes glimmering with intrigue. We have similar practices but often focus solely on survival needs rather than enjoyment. Elon smiled at this revelation. Perhaps we can introduce you to some traditional human dishes. Our culinary practices are diverse and reflect our cultural heritage. Raxon felt a wave of curiosity wash over him. Food had always been a communal experience among his people, but it had never been about enjoyment in the way humans described. Barbecue is one of our favorites, Elon continued enthusiastically. It's more than just cooking, it's about gathering together and sharing stories while enjoying delicious food. The mention of barbecue sparked interest among Raxon's crew members. They exchanged glances filled with excitement at the prospect of experiencing this human tradition firsthand. Perhaps we should organize a barbecue event as part of our cultural exchange, General Nash suggested eagerly. Elon's eyes lit up at the idea. That sounds perfect. We can show you how it's done while sharing stories from both our worlds. As negotiations progressed into the evening hours, Raxon felt a sense of camaraderie forming between their two species, a bond forged through shared experiences and mutual respect. Before concluding their meeting, Raxon addressed Captain Elon directly. I believe this alliance has great potential not only for technological advancements but also for cultural enrichment on both sides. Elon nodded earnestly. Agreed. Together, we can explore new frontiers that neither of us could achieve alone. With plans set in motion for future collaborations, including joint research projects and cultural exchanges, the Zelthian delegation left the meeting feeling invigorated by the possibilities ahead. Back aboard Endeavour, Raxon gathered his crew once more to reflect on their day's achievements. We have taken significant steps toward establishing an alliance with humanity, he stated confidently. But we must remain vigilant, there are still unknowns lurking beneath the surface. Zena chimed in thoughtfully, their approach to risk-taking may lead us down paths we're unprepared for. We must ensure that our collaboration does not compromise our values or safety. Raxon nodded solemnly, he understood her concerns well. As Deathworlders accustomed to navigating perilous environments, they needed to tread carefully when dealing with a species so different from themselves. We will proceed with caution, he assured his team. But I believe this alliance holds promise, not just for us but for all life within this galaxy. As they prepared for their upcoming barbecue event, a symbol of unity between two vastly different worlds, Raxon felt an undeniable sense of hope blossoming within him. The galaxy was indeed changing, alliances were forming where once there had been isolation, and perhaps together they could forge a future filled with endless possibilities.